Today we're going to share some viewpoints, try to make it easier for what we all want our hounds to do, and that's run a rabbit. And when we're judging, we try to find the best dog there. Mr. Jim Ogle today has shared with us the rules, which is very important, and we're going to share some viewpoints. Me and my good friends Avery Smith and Mr. Jimmy Hagan, we're going to share some viewpoints of things that help you when you're looking at dogs to find the best dog. We all want to try to find the best rabbit dog when we go to try. We want those dogs. My ground rule is just to run a rabbit. So I'm gonna let Avery start off and share his viewpoints.
Well, my point is simple. Objectivity in judging is to me one of the things that I see that we can improve. A judge is a person qualified to decide on the relative worth of anything. You've got to consider yourself in that position, and that the future of Beagling is in your hands, because the dogs that you place, the males or the females or whatever, people are going to look in the house and they're going to see what they're buying, who their daddy is, and they're going to say, I want to see some or sound judgment. Then you've not done your job, in my estimation, as a judge. You have to keep yourself away from petty peeves like color of the dog, long tail, a lot of action, daddy and mama, who the trainer is, who their owner is. Those are things to me that I see that interferes with the judges making the right decision these days. And so many times you get to the winner's pack, and that's what causes you to have 4. They come back and they've had to have 4 rabbits to run the winner's pack. You know, you get down and you've made the decision based on the wrong set of qualifications.
Can I say something there, Avery?
Right ahead.
If I judge a trial, and I don't think you feel the same way, if it took 4 rabbits, I'm sorry, I feel bad about it. If it took more than 1 rabbit, I'm unhappy about it. There's going to be a day. Today, when I see guys judging dogs and it takes 4 or 5 rabbits to put it in the back, you got some work to do. You shouldn't be proud of that. I've judged trials, this took more than 2 rabbits. And I tell you what, I beat myself up for a month thinking about it. It should never happen. We should have dogs. You should have dogs in your winner's pack. Now, not always going to have the greatest dogs very good, but you should be able to put those dogs together and keep the rabbits on.
Well, the number one sin in my book, the Beagling, is most people want to go by their taste. This is what I want my dogs to do. Well, that's fine. If your dog's at the house, you can let them run anywhere else. But as a judge, you're personally a scorekeeper. Once you get the faulty dogs out, then for them, you sort of a scorekeeper. And when I get upset is when you don't see this anymore. Jim will tell you, years ago when you got to trial, there'd be a guy, a judge would come out, well, we're going to let them run today. Or you have another guy, boy, we're going to make them get in there and we're going to make them run right today. Well, that upsets me. You're not, the dogs and the rabbits decide how fast or how slow you have to go that day. Some days, the slower dogs, the better slow dogs, should win. There's some days the faster dog should win. But remember, a good fast dog will normally beat a good slow dog. The word there is a good one. But don't ever go in your mind, go out in that field, and you're going to make those dogs run to a certain thing for your taste. That's not what it's about.
Well, and you know, you hear people say, I like a rule book hound. And everybody goes, what? That's a bad connotation. If you don't like a rule book hound, you don't need to be judging. Because how else are you going to render a fair and honest opinion if you don't use the criteria that Jim laid out all day long to decide the placement of the hounds? But that seems like that means a slow dog. You know, a real track-to-track dog to a lot of people. But that doesn't mean that at all. It doesn't say in the rule book that a dog has to go track to track. He has to account for his game. If you can account for your game going slow, that's fine. If you can burn him around through there and account for your game, that's still, to me, a rule book hound. But that's where we get into, with rule, quote, rule book. It's a call that don't need to be made.
On that point, I think we have a great support because we have a lot of different opinions is a great thing. You know, we've all three run dogs together. I don't think we've ever judged together. We judge each other's dogs. We don't like the same thing, and that's a good thing. We all see the rule book, we perceive it just a little bit different. There's nothing wrong with that. That makes our sport great. If everybody liked the same thing, we'd be in the same shape as the traditional racing. Nothing against those people. But they made it where it was a novel, type dog. We don't want that. We want different opinions. The main thing is all opinions being honest. And those guys that judge those dogs do it honestly. Honesty is what we got to have. That's number one. It doesn't matter if you don't like the thing. That's fine. But you got to be honest.
Well, to me, personally, at the end of the day, there's two questions that I ask myself going on. Did I get it right? Am I satisfied in my mind that I got the placement of those dogs right? And number two is it didn't make any difference what color they were, what breed they were, who the owner was, who the handler was. And if I'm satisfied with the answer to those two questions, then I feel like I've done a good job of judging. If neither one of those questions or either one of those questions causes me more thought, then I need to look at the rule book and I need to follow some of the dollars. And it happens. I think all of us at some point or another have gone home thinking, I don't know.
Any honest judge,
But that's
guarantee you, when he heads home, if he can't say, that dog won the trial, but I really like that third place dog. If I was gonna pick one to go take home with me, it'd be the third place dog. If you can't leave that field trial every once in a while and say, well, that dog won the trial, but I sure would like to have that third place dog. If that's when you give an honest opinion, right there.
Yeah, but your judgment is what they're asking for that day.
Yes.
They're asking you to tie the best dog that day.
You're not supposed to be trying to pick out one to carry.
That's right. You're not there to dog trade. You're there to judge the dog, and that's what I'm saying. And we've all been in that situation. It's not, I've gone home many a time thinking, a third place dog is really a really nice dog, but the first place dog beat it. And that's, if you think that the third place dog beat the first place dog, and you place the first place dog first, you've done the wrong thing. But if you think the third place dog is a great dog, but you place the other one first, then to me you've done your job that day. And I've judged dogs, and we all have, that today just beat the tar out of that pack of dogs. And the next week, just draw out on a bad record or a bad race mate or whatever, and just not look good at all. And if you bring that dog back to second series based on what you saw the week before, that's not judgment. That's being judgmental. And that's not based on sound rule book hounds. And that's what we're seeing a lot of. Is, I saw that dog running down in Mississippi. That's a good dog right there. We'll see them here at the license trial. They'll lead them up here and they go, oh yeah, that's old Buster right there. That's a good dog right there. And Buster's made second series before he's ever turned loose. That ain't right.
When I show up to field trial to judge, personally, if I got friends there, they're running dogs, because I got friends all over the country, very blessed with that. I stay as far away from them as I can. I don't even want them around me. I don't want them talking to me, but I don't want anybody being judgmental, And if people get to talking in the gallery behind me, a lot of people, I'm going to be the first one to say, hey, we're going to have no talking today. Because I want to leave that field trial and everybody having a perception that I did a fair job. These people that's talking in your ears back there, guys, ladies, you do not have to listen to that. You don't have to be mean about it, but every trial should announce the field trial chairman. You need to, Mr. Jim Ogle today, give you the rules and guidelines shouldn't be allowing people in your hip pocket telling you why you shouldn't pick their dogs up at all.
Let me ask you one other thing. Just take it, you know, these different scenarios give you, but let me ask you another thing, Mike. You say we need to watch your friends, you know, and that's, you're exactly right. But let me look at it from this end. And this can happen to you also. You're out there judging, and there's a lot of people like to look good in the field. Well, I want to look like I'm honest. So, what if your friend does have the best dog that day? And if you're sitting there worrying about, well, now if I place this dog, they're gonna think I cheated. Which is worse, to cheat a man, one way or the other? If it happens, your best friend does have the best dog out there, put the win on him. You're not out there for a popularity contest. You're out there to pick the best dog that day. And you may have, someday you may have to look a little bit and leave questions in somebody else's mind. But always remember, when you get home, you gotta look in that mirror. And then
I'm probably gonna run them a little longer too, so everybody can see. Sure.
well, that's a good point.
Yeah, I want everybody to see and understand, you know, so.
I think all of us sitting right here have experienced that with our friends.
Absolutely.
That they've gone the other way.
I remember a race trial last year that you two guys, I ain't gonna say who won, but I was.
Right.
Hey, now I'm still
I did. I'll tell you one. And I
We
won.
run them dogs for a long time.
That's right. You know, that's right. We had run those dogs a long time before you judged them. And I beat them every time we run them.
All right, Jim. All right, before we get off track, Jim.
But
Give us a lesson about how important it is to understand what a rabbit is.
Well, that's the number one thing, in my opinion. One of the number one things is there's a whole lot to understand in good dog work, but there's also there's some rabbits that a shepherd can run. There's some rabbits that it takes a super good dog to run. If you're going out to there and all the dogs going, but one dog turns off this way. Well, did you see that dog get out? Well, now, some of these dogs you see now, if somebody else keeps going and keeps barking, they'll all go. If you got one dog in there, I've seen lots of times that one dog had the rabbit and the rest of them's off of it, have them more in line. Don't always assume as a judge, unless you've seen that rabbit, you always know where that rabbit. I don't know if it still says it in the rule book. It used to say the dog gets the benefit of the doubt.
Absolutely.
It used to say that. Does it still say that, Jim?
Yes.
I mean, there's sometimes, if you can't prove that, well, how many times have you accused your dog at home of backtracking because you didn't see a rabbit? You ain't no way that rabbit did that. Well, lo and behold, after a long time, somebody got smart enough to go way back there and turn that rabbit. And you're at the field trial, if you make rash decisions, well, we run off down there, everybody just stops. Somebody's carried us over this thing. Well, you may have. Check that. But also check, that rabbit may pull a heck of a double. You don't want to make quick decisions. And you don't want to make decisions on your personal taste, is what everybody's up here is trying to tell you. Make it by the rule book and give them your honest opinion.
Well, and the other, you're exactly right. And so many times today, and I think you alluded to this over here a while ago, a lot of people don't know the dogs in the pack that are running the rabbit. They think the dog in front's got the rabbit. The dog, we've all seen packs of dogs going down through here, and he'd get to a check out there and turn around and look back like, y'all said y'all had it. And they said, well, you was up on the front. You said you had it. And then nobody's got it. You got to pick out the dogs in that pack that are running the rabbit, because if you don't, you'll get to that winner's pack and won't have anything. But if you got those dogs that you keep your eye on them in a check, those that are working the check and finding the rabbit and running the rabbit, then that's when you get to the winner's pack and you don't need the one rabbit to run it.
The key word there is running rabbit.
Right. Not the pack.
And I'll share with you folks how I decipher all that. And this is how I do it at my own house, because I raise a lot of dogs, start my own puppies, and when you raise 15 or 20, you gotta be critical. And I pay a lot of attention to body language. If I got a dog in the back that's keep running the front, I'll pay attention to the head. If the head's straight up in the air and it's running, it tells me it's running the dog, it's not running the rabbit. There's some ball mouth dogs that bark like that. You got to adjust to that. But dogs with his head up in the air, just constantly going up front, you dumping. Those dogs are running dogs that are not going to walk. The other type of body language is tail action. When I start judging dogs, first thing we're going to look at is the animation of the dogs and the tail action. Because I want to see what dogs hunt. Hunting is important to them. Hunt should be important to everybody. So as soon as those dogs cast, I'm going to watch them hunt. I'm not going to allow people to just take off walking, but I'm going to watch dogs hunt. You should have plenty of tail action. Dogs that's just standing around with no tail action is probably not really interested in their game. But I guarantee you that'd be the first dog when a rabbit jumps, run up there with his head up, straight up in the air, and go to running dogs. So,
And we've all seen those dogs that were great, what I call pack riders too. You get to check and they use their eyes to find the rabbit. The dog gets a little happy, you're talking about tail action. The dog over here gets just a little bit happy. And I tell you, the greatest one that was ever born for that was Blue Rock Hobo. If anybody ever saw him run 30 years ago, Jimmy Hogan saw him run. Wasn't he the best you ever saw?
smart.
Huh? He was smart. You get to check now, and Hobo watched every dog in that pack. And that's why he got 90% of his checks. And he could run it once he got a hold of it. But, you know, to me, he was a pack rider. PD said he's a pretty good $100 rabbit dog.
Let me ask you another thing, Victor. In a check, when does a check become a loss? Now that sounds simple, but you need to think about that. A check could be 30 minutes long when you think about it. A check is a check as long as the dogs are aggressively looking for a rabbit. When those dogs start standing around and nobody's looking for it, and they says, we don't know where it is, then you're at a loss. But as long as a check can be anywhere from, like say, a long time, or it can be short. But when you call it a loss is really when the dogs quit looking for it. It's a check as long as those dogs are looking for that rabbit.
You need to be patient on it.
Yes.
Absolutely. You should pay attention to where the dogs break down on a check. So you create a zone for the rabbit. I do that first. I want to know where we stopped at, and that creates a zone. All right? So if dogs start moving out, I've seen a lot of dogs that move out real quick. They go circling that zone. And I'm watching those dogs. I'm watching all those dogs. They circle in that zone. They run across 2 or 3 times and never come over the rabbit. And all at once the dog sits down and goes right through that zone, and the rest of them going in there. That tells me that dog didn't have a very good nose, or he wasn't thinking about what he was doing after he crossed those zones out there.
What's the patterns in dogs?
You look for patterns in dogs.
Good.
Tail action in dogs, goes back to that. I've trained myself personally, for my benefit, to watch a dog, pack a dog from the back to the front. To me, it's real easy to see dogs do accomplishment. But I want to see every dog in the pack. So I watch dogs from the back to the front. I do that at home. That's the way I train myself. Because I got caught years ago putting a lot of time in a male dog, and I take him to field trials and I couldn't figure out why he wouldn't place him. Why he wouldn't place him was because he didn't have no tail action when he got behind. When he got behind, he quit moving his tail, he quit thinking about what he was doing. As long as he was in front, he was a pretty good dog. But he wasn't a good enough dog to run off front of the field trial.
I don't know how long we're going to do this, but there's one point I'd like to put before it's over. And always remember, all us people that think we know it all, we don't know it all. And always be prepared that there's a dog that'll be an exception. And a dog that I can tell you about is Shorts Line Boss. If I bred to the Shorts Line Boss 5 times, and he helped me make my what I am. But if I just went and watched that dog run and didn't see his pup side of him, and didn't see him after PD had him trained, I probably never would have bred to him. That would look to be one of the roughest dogs in a check you had been down a short period of a considerable period of time, any dog you ever seen run. But I got to notice it. Nobody ever tracked it where Line Boss finally opened up on it. just like Mike said, all dogs, there's gonna be exceptions. When you set, you think you got it all knowed up, you're not going any further. But now, when you got all these rules and stuff, you set accomplishment. Like we said, there's gonna be, some dogs gonna, and when you think you've got it all just like you want it, there's one dog that's gonna show you that he can get it done. Because nobody can ever track that rabbit. I've judged line balls 2 or 3 times, and I particularly didn't like him a couple times. But I always noticed when he'd get out and get them checks a long way, no dog ever tracked it from point A to point B where line balls got it. He had a real system crossing roads, crossing big barrier lanes, and stuff like that. Always watch for those kind of dogs. You may run across one.
You know, another thing that scares me is I've heard people say, this time of year it's dry, it's hot, you know, you're gonna have to let them dogs reach today.
You might.
You might, but you might not.
That's right.
But don't do it until they show you they have to.
That's right. Yeah. It's the dogs and the rabbits. Like I say again, it's the dogs and the rabbits. They're the one to show you how fast you can go that day, or how slow you've got to go. That's their decision. That's not your job. Your job is to get the faulty dogs out, keep score of what's left, and find the best dog out.
You know, the worst thing I hate to see on a dog, unless I'm feeding him, is his eyes.
Is it what?
His eyes. I hate to see a dog's eyes, but he's always coming back. When I'm looking at dog's eyes, I'm creating checks. I see too many guys these days got these books out, just doing checks. Donald Wright told me years ago, put that book in your pocket, watch them dogs run. Don't worry about putting those checks. And me, I'd rather have a dog take 100 yards than have 10 or 8 checks. To me, that's more efficient.
That's another one of my pet peeves. Is you judge and they'll say, how many checks you got on the green collar dog? I got 2 mental checks in. Well, I've got 14 right here. You know, he.
Dog checks. Dog checks equal.
A lot of them are dog checks.
Dog checks equal.
Huh? No, they're not equal.
A simple turn right here, and everybody gets it. That's a check.
A lot of them are dog checks.
What if you've been down 15 minutes and we fixed to have to go find another rabbit?
That's right.
And you got one dog smart enough to go track it or whatever he has to do to get it. That checks are worth a whole lot more. 2 or 3 of them little old simple checks that a shepherd should have got to start with.
That's when you pull your buck out and get 3 checks.
Well,
In case you got to argue about it a little bit.
Yes, in case you're judging one of them pencils there.
That's right.
Give him 3 marks for that one.
That's right.
That way, if you're going to in the deep south, I love the deep south. I love the UBGF. I love the brace. I love them all. But now that's one thing that has helped the AKC. Going to the Nationals, have got all these people together. We're a whole lot closer now than we've ever been. Years ago, when I go to the Deep South, they'd say, why are you going down there? And they'd say, then I go down there, why don't you go to UBGL? Well, a good dog should place anywhere. And now we are closer than we've ever been. And it's because we've got better dogs. We've got better dogs. Now, individuals, I can look back over history and I can pick out several individuals I'd love to have them today and could still do good today. But there's a lot of those dogs you read about that have a hard time winning right now. We have good quality dogs out there. The worst thing is like Avery started that. I don't agree with Avery on a lot of things, but this one I'm gonna agree with. Opinion. And this, you cannot judge that dog by what you like. Judge him by what he does that day out of the rule.
I judged with a guy several years ago, a good friend of mine. And he was in the 3rd series. He said, man, I just don't like the style of that dog out there. I'm done with that dog. I said, well, you mean that dog is run all the way? He said, I don't like the style. I said, we're not judging style with this. We're not judging style. We're judging the dog that's counting for the game. Personally, I didn't like the dog style, but the dog was good at running the race. That's what we wanted. He was the best dog. He didn't win the trial that day. He ended up placing, but until that point, he was the best dog we've seen all day. We're not judging style. We're trying to find the best dog. We got a good guideline, rule book. Blessed to have the AKC. Allows the format. Blessed with the UBGF, Deep South, Gun Dog Brace, 2 couple back.
To me, those dogs that you see that are placing up north, down south, wherever they go, you get a chance to go out and watch them run.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's
You go, yes, sir. You can learn something from those kind of dogs. Where the bottom of your britches legs off.
Go rabbit, go rabbit on.
Yeah.
Go
I
rabbit.
mean, you know, those dogs that place all over the country, there's something to them. Dogs like Mac Cullen just finished. Can win up north, down south, wherever he takes it. Go watch him run. You'll learn something from him. He's got some qualities that have made him a field champion that need to be perpetuated. And those are the kind of dogs that when you go to a field trial and judge, you know, you can feel good about putting a win on because you know that somewhere down the road, you can look back and generations of field champions and say, I judged their granddaddy. You know, when we sit around talking about dogs that we saw run 25 years ago and dogs that have progressed out of their generations now, say here's the reason that dog is so good. I saw Megan run, and I saw Yapper and Connie and all them run. No wonder the dogs, you know, that you're seeing 4 generations back out of it. So go watch them good ones run. They'll teach you something.
Another thing I want to bring up probably about it. First series judgment. Don't make drastic decisions in the first series. First series is the hardest part of your judging something all day. You need to take your time and make sure that you get the best dogs out of the first series and second. But after that, it'll be easy. I see these guys let these dogs run 100 yards and start picking dogs up. You're really not giving those dogs a fair chance. I like to run dogs until the rabbit does something silly. And I want to see what I'm going to have if it really gets hard.
That's right. Till you get yourself out of trouble.
Now, if you got extra miles and stuff like that, you need to separate them. You know, I see a lot of dogs these days that people, I call them beeline dogs. You know, I've never seen a rabbit, Jimmy, that run 5 foot this way, and then make a V this way, and make a V this way, and makes a V this way.
He might do a couple of them moves, but he ain't gonna keep
After
doing it.
it gets hard, but when you first start running and beelining like this, you know, he's this way until this dog comes this way, then he's this way. You know, and he never shuts up. I call it beeline. You see a lot of beeline dogs. Then you see dogs that just want to bark at you. And that extra mouth will kill your race. Whether it's barking everywhere, and I see dogs these days, they get on the back and just get 5 or 10 foot behind the dogs. Just bark, 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 bark. And the judges leave them down. And all they're doing is keeping those good dogs pulled back all the time. Of course, those dogs ought to be able to come it, but a dog sitting 5 or 10 foot behind the back is barking. It's not doing the back any good.
You can be rough from behind just like you can be rough out front.
Nothing worse for me than a rough, slow dog. I
Jimmy,
hate a rough, slow
now,
Sorry about that, Hank. But
I'll have to agree to that, to a certain extent.
You can be rough from
But I'm
behind.
gonna tell you, if you got a good slow dog, if you'll just keep your eye, that dog will probably make an outstanding move if you run him long enough. If it is a good slow dog. Just like a good fast dog. Don't be too quick to pick them up off the front. Don't be too quick to pick them up. Just keep watching. A good slow dog, if it's a good one, will make a good move. A good fast dog won't get you out of the rabbit race. You keep saying, well, he's going. I had a guy tell me one time, we can't use that dog. I watched him in the winter's pack. He's going to get rough in the winter's pack.
Wait till the winter's back.
Well, I say, well, we probably have to get him, but now on my book, he's going to the winter's pack.
Yeah. And they enter every series equal. You know, we've all seen judges, we judged with judges before that have said, boy, that dog in first series is the best dog they had. You know, get out there in second series and just roll them out again, and the dog changed completely. We've all had that happen to us, and I've owned dogs that did that. You know, draw different rabbits, different pack mates. I just wasn't much fun when you got out there, but then they said, well, we got to take him on the winter's pack. He's high dog in first series. You don't have to take him anywhere. You drop his green collar out of there.
the hardest part of judging. A good dog, you'll always see. You know, that's the easy part. The hard part is separating all the other chaos that goes on.
They separate themselves.
Yeah, the good ones, you get back to the winner's pack, you got a bunch of good dogs on the ground, they'll separate.
It makes your job
themselves.
easy, too.
It makes your job easy. So spend your time in first series is my philosophy.
Yeah.
You know, get those dogs separated. Let them run long enough that rabbit does something silly. And if you do that, you won't hear a lot of complaining. If you go out there and you run dogs 50 yards and you start thinking dogs that, those guys that travel 3 or 4 hours or whatever, they're going to be upset. go out there and you can't run a rabbit, you gotta start making decisions when you can't run a rabbit. You can go back and you look at body language or however you wanna do it, but you gotta make those decisions. One other thing on extra mount, I said, if you break down and a dog runs off 5 or 10 foot beside, you've been down for a few minutes and the dog goes over there and he barks. Wow, he's got the rabbit. And all the dogs covered, as soon as they cover, if that dog leaves that check area and goes the opposite direction, that's a liar. I don't care what anybody says, that's a liar. You know, you need to pay close attention. You know, a lot of dogs are smart, they won't draw dogs away. He's done been over there checking that area, he knows it ain't over there, so he gets them over there and he goes somewhere else to check. We don't need extra miles.
We've all seen that.
Now, if a dog comes back through and he pops a couple times right through the corner loss where I think he's in the zone and moves out with it, he's a thinker dog. I don't have a whole lot of trouble with that. I'd rather not for him to do that, but I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to hold it against him too much.
I always said, as long as we can run it from where you bark, then I'm fine with where you're barking. But now, if we go over there and we keep running like you said, if we go over there and you're where you're barking, and there ain't another dog can smell anything, and you take off over yonder, then all you done is being over competitive and smart enough to draw them dogs off over there so you can get this in.
But I've seen something else there. I've seen a dog sit down, just start out barking, nothing else can smell it. And I'm thinking the whole time, ain't no way that dog got that rabbit. You know what? I'm going to follow him until he proves to everybody, including myself, in the gallery, that he's lying. You know, and that dog had that rabbit.
I think
Let the dog prove it. But he's proved he ain't left it. Everybody's with him. He ain't left it. He still thinks he got it. I'm going to let him either be a hero or zero.
That's the benefit of that.
Benefit of that. Now if he goes over there and barks, and then he's over yonder, yeah, I'm through with him, you know, or whatever.
You run into that a lot of times in the morning on old lines too. You know, they'll start running over here. We get running out there and they get the dogs running over here. Well, there comes a point where you say, well, I say, let's move the dogs on. You know, because he's tried 3 lines right here and we ain't through grab the video. Now that's, to me, is a judgment call you gotta make.
But also, if we move to a different spot and the same thing happens again, it might be time for that dog to go to the truck too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's,
You're in the benefit of that.
right, at some point you've got to say, enough of this is enough. Every time you put him down, he starts barking.
Avery will tell you, and I bet you Mr. O will back me up on this one, we didn't have near the trouble judging field calls years ago. Because you got it there and caused a lot of trouble in a trial before the rabbit even got up. You find yourself in the truck. Nowadays, you go out there and the dogs will be barking here. Well, let's move over yonder. Maybe setting's better over yonder. Well, you do that, and you may end up, and the dogs may look better. But if you get up the dogs that's causing you trouble, now you got to give everybody a fair chance. But years ago, if you started a lot of trouble for the rabbit, don't matter how good you can run a rabbit, once the rabbit got, if you started a bunch of trouble for it, am I telling the truth, Jim?
Yes, sir.
Nowadays, you watch a lot of trials, it'll take some good packs of dogs that can run the screw out of a rabbit, but they may take them 15 or 20 minutes to get where you can get them on a rabbit they can run. You know.
You know something else? Just because you go out there and judge the fact, don't have a system that you're going to get down to $2, $3. Don't never have a system like that. I see people, I got to get down to $3, I got to get down to $2. Larry, Shirley, and Bill, and whoever may have the best $7 draw out together that day. Give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to look at them again. If they get out there, what I want to do, and they run that rabbit, and they get me out of breath, it's hard to keep up with them, they run that rabbit, I'm going to look at those dogs again. Now, if I get out there and I got $7 can't run a rabbit, I'm going to try to figure out why they can't. I'm going to put a lot of effort to try to figure out why they can't. But after I put that effort in, I still can't run around the property. But don't have a system. You don't have to get down to $2 or $3. Just the fact it's there. A lot of times, the best $6 draw together. That there's that price. Look at them again.
This has happened to me in a brace. I learned a lot one time judging a brace. I had judged big braces. I judged 75, I've judged 100 in a brace. I went and judged a little 15 dog derby one time. And I got there and boy, nobody was running. I wasn't scoring these dogs. Wasn't really making real good notes. I thought, well, you know, there's a good dog. You know, you'll get your, at 15, you shouldn't be looking for about 6 good dogs anyway. If you come out with 6 good dogs when you're judging the brace, you're in real good shape. Well, we got down near the end of that thing and I looked at my book. And I basically didn't have anybody scored. I had some notes on the dogs, thank goodness. But the guy with me, he says, well, we're in a mess, aren't we? And I said, well, I'm getting worried. And he said, maybe I hope I took better notes. And we went back. And it ended up, we had some good dogs, but always score, and this is different from the pack, but same base thing. Don't cull that first pack too hard if you ain't got many packs. Because if you got 3 packs and you got 6 good dogs in your first pack, don't say, well, let's get these down to 2 or 3. But what if the next 2 packs, they ain't nothing near as good as them 3 you picked up the first pack? It will happen to you if you judge wrong, though. Keep that in mind.
Or if you're getting to the end of the first series and you look at your book and you've got 13. And that last pack has got 4 in it, so it runs real good. And you think, dang, this is gonna put us. We really need 2 packs of 7 for second series. Don't cheat those 4 dogs, you know, or 3 dogs in that last pack out of it coming back to second series just because of the way they drew.
Yeah.
You know?
You don't want to hurt the dog, and you don't want to hurt the guys that really work dogs.
No.
To be successful in the field trials, it takes a good dog and a committed support. The guy that takes that dog forward.
You know, pack against the pack. But also you got to remember, every dog as you're judging, especially not to place the dog, but to keep up with what dogs, if you need to drop somebody back earlier, every dog is really running against every dog that runs that day when you're just looking at a pack of dogs. You know, you can score certain dogs and you leave one down. I sort of like that dog, but he ain't got as much gun as that. Well, you may have to use it, but later on that day, when you have to cut some to get to a number that you can handle at the end of the day, you may have to be able to look back and say, now, if this dog compared to this dog, which one of these dogs is I think is the best? Well, that kind of
So this dog hunted better than this
yes.
dog.
Keep up something
Yeah.
that you can go back, even if it was in the first pack, that you can compare that dog in the first pack with one dog that you might need or might not need in the last pack. If you can compare those two, if you have to get your numbers to where you can drop them, let's say we can have a 9-dog winners pack. Probably nobody here likes a 9-dog winners pack. Is anybody? No, you don't. No feel. All right, you may have to go someday when it's getting dark, and that man right there will tell you, you have to finish that thing that day, or you need to. Because what if it's Sunday afternoon, you got people from 500 miles away. You need to finish that thing. Well, you may have to use 9. Well, what if you've got 10, 11 dogs left? You need some system that you can go back with the dogs that you have left down, that if you have to or you really need to, and you're hardly ever going to have 9 or 10 dogs scored in your mind if they say there is it all equal. It could happen, but that'd be very rare. But you need to have some system in your book that you can go back from all the dogs you've looked at that day, that you can narrow it down. I personally like to go to a 7-dog. All you can have in the winner's pack. I'd be tickled to death to do it. But I'll also tell you, I have used several 8-dogs too. Because that day we had to do it.
I'm going to finish up here and I'll let you guys, I'm going to say 3 things that's important to me in field trial. I love field trial. Find dogs that hunt. Keep our dogs hunting. Be honest when you judge. Keep the galleries quiet.
Ooh.
You got to keep the galleries quiet. Our sport is so great right now. We've got a lot of people with our junior handler program. So we really want to teach our junior handler people bad habits. Absolutely not. When you're out there judging, whether you know it or not, a lot of people are looking at you. So it needs to be a friendly, family environment at all times. And it needs to be fair for everybody. You got people watching you whether you know it or not. You got these small kids. You want people out there, you want to teach those small kids bad habits. Absolutely not. We're blessed with that junior handler program. We are absolutely blessed. That's the future of our sport. We want to train those young people right there.
And you're being judged too. You know, when you've got a winner's back down, and you turn around and you look back in the gallery and you see guys on the Hall of Fame, and half a dozen more out there, and you get to counting up the years that they got in Beekman, you're probably looking at 150 years of hound man back there behind you. So you got to weigh that responsibility that you have too. Make sure that the decision you make is based on the rule book and on honesty and integrity and the question that I enumerated to you earlier, you can answer to your satisfaction at the end of the day. Made no difference who was handling that dog, how he's bred, what color he was, what size he was. He's the best dog that day.
You know,
He's the best dog.
I said it when I said, I heard something very disturbing. You hear everything with the Beekman grapevine, but I've heard that people have been texting each other and asking why they picked it up. Texting the judge. Leave your cell phone in the truck, judge. You don't even take it with you. It has no value to you out there in the field. Don't give people, if people's gonna be that common to be texting you, you want to know why you picked the dog up, it's not good.
Most of the time, the people that follow their dogs, they know why you picked them up. You know, I mean, I've known why mine got picked up a few times because I followed them myself.
Yeah.
You know, oh, you ain't got to tell me. The reason I didn't ask. I already knew. You know?
It's not life or death. Just play fair and have fun.
Not to us anymore, because we've been through it. But a lot of young people out there and people that are just getting into it, it is life or death.
Let this man over there ask a question. I can say he's got a question on his mind.
Do you think on the gallery part, having two field marshals, one for the gallery and one to help to pick up dogs, to help control that? I know when we done that at one of the runoffs, and luckily I was field marshal. Luckily somebody had a kid there that wanted to help, and he caught the dogs mostly. And honestly, the gallery never got within 20 yards of the dogs. And you had very limited breakdowns because of the rabbit circling back around in the gallery or something like that. And it worked out well, and you don't see that much. You see them more, normally the gallery's 2 feet from the judges, you know, on your heels if you're trying to run or trying to outrun you.
Yeah. Most of our trials today, that's one downfall of our trials. We don't have field marshals that are a lot of trials.
Let me give you one of this, and I bet that man there can back me up on this. I was marshaling at the Nationals one time, and there was about 5 or 6 of the top field champions in the country in that thing. So you can imagine what chaos we had out there with people. I kept warning them to stay back out of the dog's way, warning them about staying back out of the way. I don't know if you were there, but I bet you Melvin's told you this story. And I told him, I stopped and I said, listen people, the next person that gets up there and gets in these dogs' ways and calls a little check, I'm going to send them to the clubhouse. If they standing, Melvin was standing over about, I don't know, pretty good ways down there watching. Somebody said, Melvin, did you hear what this man just told us? I'll never forget it. Melvin said, yeah, I did, and you better listen to him. And that is, if you are a marshal, that is not as quite as important as the judging part, but it's your job to keep those people off of the judges and off the dogs, so the people and the dogs get a fair treatment.
To answer your question, you laugh what you just said. It's the judges who control the field. If you get to a trial and you don't have a field marshal, it's your responsibility to keep those people back and keep them quiet. And if you don't get their support, then you got that field trial chairman to go back to. And all you got to do is go in there and simply say, Mr. Field Trial Chairman, I need your help. This is getting very aggravating. And they'll go.
You know, the simple thing that you can do is good. You got to be a professional, man. You got to have freedom. But people out there that get in your way, I mean, there's nothing wrong when you say, now listen, y'all gonna have to give me some room here. If you don't, some of these dogs are gonna be eliminated. And usually that man figures out you're talking about his dogs, he's been getting in your way, and I'll guarantee you he'll back out of the way. He won't give you no more trouble.
these days, you see guys, as soon as the dog gets picked up, they run in there and tell you, you shouldn't have done that. This dog is doing this, this dog is doing that. You just simply say, let's talk about it after the trial.